4,000 years ago, one ancient city rose so high above the desert that the whole known world called it the true gate to heaven itself. Picture yourself standing on a dusty, ancient road beneath towering walls, wide enough for two full chariots to race side by side atop them. Beyond those walls waited temples of shining gold, gardens suspended high in the sky, and streets crowded with merchants from 100 lands. This is Babylon, the greatest city the ancient world had ever seen, and this is the story of how it slowly rose, ruled, and finally fell apart. Long before its golden age, Babylon was a modest town beside the Euphrates River, its mud brick houses baking under a merciless desert sun. Then came ambition. Kings began dreaming of something far larger, a city that would outshine every rival empire in the entire known world. Slaves and free workers alike hauled millions of bricks from riverbank kilns, stacking them into walls thick enough to stop any invading army. Bitumen, sticky and black, sealed each layer tightly together, a technique so effective the walls would outlast every king who ever built them. Within a single generation, Babylon transformed from a quiet river village into a fortified city guarding the very heart of ancient Mesopotamia. Trade routes shifted to pass directly through its gates, and gold, spices and silk began flowing into markets that never seemed to sleep. By the time the sun set on its first full century of power, Babylon was already whispered about in languages far beyond its own distant borders. Nothing captured the imagination of travelers quite like the gardens said to hang above the city, defying both gravity and simple ancient logic. Terrace upon terrace climbed toward the sky, engineered with hidden channels that pulled river water up through an ancient irrigation marvel. Exotic trees, imported at staggering cost, cast cool shade over stone walkways where nobles strolled far above the noise of the streets below. Some say the gardens were built for a homesick queen, longing for the green mountains of her distant and long-forgotten childhood homeland. Whether myth or memory, that image endured for centuries, inspiring wonder long after the actual bricks themselves had crumbled into dust. Beside the gardens rose ziggurats, step towers, reaching endlessly toward the heavens, believed by many to be staircases built for the gods. Every rooftop and every spire seemed carefully designed to remind visitors that Babylon answered to no earthly power but its own ancient gods. Step down from the palace terraces and the entire city changed completely. A chaos of noise, color, and the smell of spices roasting slowly. Merchants shouted over one another, hawking wool, dates, dyed cloth, and bronze tools forged in workshops just beyond the crowded market square. Children darted between market stalls, while donkeys hauled carts loaded with grain, destined for granaries hidden deep within the city walls. Priests, scribes, farmers, and foreign traders all shared the same narrow streets, each one carrying the weight of a completely different world. At night, oil lamps flickered inside courtyard homes, and the scent of barley beer drifted from taverns tucked behind ancient mud brick walls. Babylon never truly slept, its canals humming with barges and its temples glowing with firelight long after the crowded markets had closed. This was a city built not just on raw power, but on the daily rhythm of ordinary people simply trying to survive and quietly thrive within it. At the very heart of the ancient city stood the Ishtar Gate, its glazed blue bricks shimmering like water under the relentless Mesopotamian sun. Golden bulls and dragons marched endlessly across its glowing surface, sacred animals guarding the path that led toward the Temple of Marduk. To pass through that gate was to enter an entirely different world, one where kings claimed the gods themselves had chosen their sacred throne. Processions moved through its arch during festivals, priests chanting hymns that echoed off walls built to impress both the gods and men alike. Religion in ancient Babylon was never separate from power, every single ritual reinforcing the belief that the whole city stood on sacred ground. Foreign visitors described the gate with pure disbelief, unable to comprehend how simple brick and glaze could shine with such brilliance. No single name is more tied to Babylon's glory than Nebuchadnezzar, the king whose endless ambition rebuilt the city into a monument to himself. Under his long rule, walls grew taller, temples grew grander, and armies marched outward to conquer lands as far away as distant Jerusalem. He filled the city with plunder and prisoners, some say including the very people who later mourned Babylon within their ancient scripture. Yet even at its height, whispers of unease moved quietly through the palace halls, as advisors questioned just how long such glory could last. Nebuchadnezzar believed Babylon would stand forever, an eternal capital immune to the same fate that had already swallowed empires before it. History, however, rarely agrees with the ambitions of kings. No matter how magnificent the walls, they choose to leave standing behind them. The seeds of Babylon's downfall were already forming quietly, not yet in foreign armies, but in the slow decay of its own royal leadership. Generations after Nebuchadnezzar, Babylon's rulers grew complacent, trusting completely in walls that had never once been breached by force. Beyond the horizon, a new power was steadily rising, one led by a Persian king named Cyrus, patient, calculating, and utterly relentless still. Cyrus's armies encircled the city, but Babylon's defenders felt completely secure behind walls, so thick that legends called them impossible. Then, according to ancient accounts, the Euphrates was slowly diverted, lowering the river until soldiers could simply walk beneath the gates. In a single quiet night, the city that had stood as the center of the world fell, almost silently, its defenders caught completely unaware. Nebuchadnezzar's descendants soon disappeared entirely from history's pages, and Babylon, though not destroyed, would never rule the world again. Over the following centuries, canals silted, temples crumbled, and the desert slowly reclaimed what human hands had once so proudly built. And yet, despite conquest, decay, and the slow erosion of centuries, Babylon's name never truly disappeared from human memory or ancient myth. Its myths shaped religions, its mathematics shaped science, and its legends still echo through stories told around the entire world even today. Walk the quiet ruins near modern Iraq today, and you can still trace the outline of walls that once seemed far too vast to ever fall apart. Babylon reminds us that even the mightiest cities are built by ordinary hands, and even the strongest walls eventually give way to time itself. If this journey through Babylon's rise and fall captivated you, imagine what other lost ancient worlds are still waiting to be uncovered next. Subscribe now, because history's greatest lost cities deserve to be remembered, rebuilt, and rediscovered again and again, one story at a time. Tell us in the comments which ancient city you want explored next, and we might just bring its forgotten streets back to life, just for you.